Pleasantville, even the Gun Hill, from Freeman Street to Prospect Avenue, Fordham Road, Car City to Elder Avenue, Valley Park, Eaton Wall to Bronx River, Bronx Deal, Soundview, S-Bar, baby. I'm boogie down like this Choke King, man. We go within the playground.
Hey, everybody. Hello, podcast land. It's time for the Bronx Music Podcast once again. This is episode numero ocho, number 8. And we're thrilled. We have Russ Velazquez with us. And, of course, people in the house can cheer. We do this once a month.
Everybody calm down.
Enthusiasm. Well, everybody just relax, please. Stay on that microphone. Don't lose the microphone.
Okay, no.
There you go. Just so people know, we do this once a month at the Artist, which is at 249 City Island Avenue. And just as I was about to say, featured here are Jenny's Sweets Pastries, and Elliot is walking in. Thanks to Elliot and Monica Glick, who do just an amazing job. We can chat for them. And my engineer is George Williams Jr. I just found out he was a junior.
Georgie.
And so we've got a lot to talk about. And so I'm going to do, I don't like to do what I'm about to do, but I am going to do it. I want to, because here's the thing. If I said, hey, Russ Velazquez is with us, other than many of the people out there, but the people in this room, the general public is like, oh, yeah, okay.
Who?
Yeah, right. So I'm going to do the whole bio thing. And this is from the materials you sent me. Yes. Born in the South Bronx, raised in the Bronx, New York City, award-winning and Emmy-nominated composer, singer, arranger, and producer for TV, radio, and film. We're still trying to find something he doesn't or can't do. A first-call session singer, voiceover artist, and guitarist for over 30 years. Performed on thousands of recording sessions, singing on hundreds of national, regional, local radio and TV spots, and now at the Bronx Music Podcast.
That's right.
Although I don't know that I'm going to ask him to sing, but okay. All right. Did you want to say something there?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So here we go.
What you're saying there.
Here we go. Commercials that you've done, okay? And I'm going to ask you a question afterwards. Here we go.
Please
And this
go
is
ahead.
just a sample. Okay? And unfortunately, he didn't get the big account, so he only did Burger King, Coke, Diet Coke, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, Disney, McDonald's, Sprite, Hasbro, Mattel, Fisher-Price, UPS, FedEx, Budweiser, ESPN, Cheerios, Pizza Hut, Bubble Yum, Dodge, Ford, the U.S. Army. That's kind of a little organization.
Small.
Nobody really knows who they are. And Gillette, and that is what I used to shave today. So when I mention all those names, is there one name that sticks out, and maybe you could give us like a little anecdote?
Oh, absolutely.
Because if we stopped at each one, we'll be here for, till next Shavuos. Go ahead.
Well, there's great stories, experiences for all of them, but the one that probably was my most successful one, and also probably it has a whole story. It was the Burger King in the early 90s. Burger King decided that they wanted to do like an MTV thing. MTV was very popular.
Yeah.
So they got the guy, one of the VJs, this guy Dan Cortez, I think his name is, and so they wanted to do this whole MTV logo thing, like the radio things, and so it was like MTV, so they wanted the voices, and then he was the host, and then they had their ad talking about their,
and so what did you do for them?
So I get called.
What made it memorable?
What made it memorable was that I ended up doing all the demos for it, doing all the voices, but then they said, there's a line that they want you to say. I said, okay. And they said, before we do all the singing, just say this line. And I said, okay. I love this place, right? Didn't think anything about it, right? We did all the singing. We did tons of demos, tons of singing. 3 months later, I get a call from the music house saying, hey, Russ, I got some good news and bad news. The bad news is they didn't buy most of the stuff that we sent them. But they said, but there's a line that they like that you said. So I was like, oh, okay. So
And that was it.
Well, I forgot about it.
Could you repeat it for us?
I love this place. And so all of a sudden I turned the TV on and every Burger King commercial had BKTV, and then I love this place. Oh, that line.
Good job, ladies and gentlemen.
On every commercial.
There you go. All
about
right.
a year and a
So
half.
that was one thing. We're not done. So you sang alongside Michael Bolton, Luther Vandross, again, the little artists, Patty Austin, Vicky Sue Robinson, Phoebe Snow, Richie Havens, Sting, Carole King, the Ramones, and I love the juxtaposition of Carole King and the Ramones. That's cute. LL Cool J, Jimmy Webb, who's one of the great songwriters of all time, Sophie B. Hawkins, C&C Music Factory, Andrew Gold, Marshall Crenshaw, and Martin Short and Mike Myers. Give us one. Go ahead. Good luck.
Well, the Ramones was funny because it includes, it's all because of a mutual friend of ours, our friend Carl Casella. He was the assistant, and let's give it up for Carl. He's not with us anymore. Love you, Carl. We miss you. He was an assistant engineer for the Ramones. They were recording demos for their new album. And the funny thing about that was, I was looking for any kind of a gig, and he got the call last minute to assist this Ramones session. He also had a gig to run lights at the Copacabana for, if you remember, Urban Cowboy was a big hit movie.
Yes. If that ain't rock and roll, was it Joey Ramone?
What?
Or Johnny Ramone? The guy who had to do lights.
No. My friend Carl Casella.
Oh, your friend did. I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
He had the gig the same day of the
I
session
see.
for the Ramones.
Okay, I apologize.
I was looking for a gig, so he said, "Hey, I want to do the Ramones. Why don't you take my lighting gig at the Copa for Mickey Gilley and Johnny Lee?" Right?
I didn't have them on my list.
Oh, well, I didn't sing with them. I was going to run lights. I'd never run lights before.
Yeah.
So to make this a long story very short, I got fired off that immediately because I totally screwed up the light. It was these big, gigantic spotlights.
So I have to cross Lightman off my list of
please,
things that you
That's
do.
definitely not on my resume. And so after I got fired, I said, "Oh, I know where Carl is. He's recording the Ramones." So I went to the studio, and I'm sitting around watching them record, and they basically...
And where the studio was?
The studio was...
Queens.
On 30th Street.
Manhattan, okay.
Yeah, 30th Street, Manhattan. No, it wasn't Step Above. I forget the name of the studio. And, no. And so I went to the studio. I'm watching the Ramones, and I see them do 12... They recorded 12 backing tracks in like an hour and a half. They were like 1, 2, 3, 4,
right,
and then
right.
right next to them.
That's rock and roll.
So we're listening in the control room, and Joey's there, Johnny, Dee Dee, and they're listening, and so they're ready to do the vocals. They said, "Well, we got to do some backgrounds." So I have to give Carl, thank you, Carl. Carl said, "Hey, my friend's a singer."
So what track? Is there a track that
Yeah,
you're
there's
on?
a few.
Name one.
I sang on one was called "The KKK Took My Baby Away."
I know the song. Wow.
Yeah, and
All right.
and you sound like you're sick.
All right, we got to keep going.
Yeah, so anyway, but the memorable thing about it is I got to sing with Joey, but everything was boom, 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 fast, and Joey's like 6'4".
Yes, right.
Right? And they had one microphone, so they grabbed a cinder block, and I had to stand on a cinder block.
So that you could be up
to
near
sing
with Joey Ramone.
And so I'm standing on a cinder block trying to balance myself while singing with Joey. And
well, we're all going to have to go home and listen to that. All right. Yeah. Now, again, I wish you had an opportunity on the big shows, but you have performed on The Tonight Show, David Letterman, SNL, Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, Good Morning America, to name a few. Name one.
Well, it would have to be The Tonight Show because Johnny Carson was still doing it, although Jay Leno was the host. Jay Leno was he became the permanent replacement, I think, once Johnny had a falling out with Joan Rivers.
Yes.
So it was a Wednesday night, and I was singing backgrounds with Sophie B. Hawkins, and that was just a tremendous thrill for me to be on Johnny.
The
it was
Tonight
Johnny's
Show.
set.
Wow.
It was Johnny's set. It was Johnny's show. And Jay Leno couldn't have been nicer, and plus, I was singing with an all-star band. I mean,
so I'm going to go on, and we're not going to stop at this one. But you sang, arranged, and produced several popular TV themes, including Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Sonic X, One Piece, Home Delivery, etc. What I didn't get to is, out of all this stuff, my favorite stuff. Russ is a 3-time Emmy-nominated composer-arranger for his work on Sesame Street.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, you have raised my kids, and as a result of that, you have helped raise my granddaughter.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad. I'm glad.
So
Amazing. That was an amazing experience working with them. I've done a bunch of.
we're gonna get into that. Okay. So here's my first real question. Mm-hmm. You've done all this. When we say the name Russ Velazquez out in the street, people say, "Oh yeah, was he working a deli or something?" Who is he?
Mm-hmm. Bodega.
Is it hard to say I wrote this really cool song for Sesame Street and have no one know that it's you? Like they hear it on TV, or do you like the relative anonymity that it brings? That you weren't the guy. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I mean not at all. I like being behind the scenes.
You like that?
Oh, I love it. I love it because it's just when I was a kid and saw the Beatles. And Ed Sullivan, I wanted to do that, and I wanted to be a rock star.
Didn't we all, yeah.
But after doing session work and working with a lot of great artists and hearing how their lives were and how they had to really go out of their way to try to not, be noticed and blah, blah, I was like, I like being behind the scenes. I like that I'm working with the best singers, the best musicians, the best studios, the best engineers, and nobody knows who I am, what I mean?
And you like that?
I loved it. I loved it. Yeah.
I'm going to applaud for that.
Yeah.
And what that communicates is that there's a real love of the art, and to be in a place like you say you with Sophie B. Hawkins on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, that's a thrill. And amazing. For you, they don't have to say, "Ladies and gentlemen, it's Russ Velazquez."
Exactly. I could just see, and here's a funny thing with Michael Bolton. I did a lot of session work with him before he got his record. Thing, and he did the Dock in the Bay, but we used to do a lot of sessions together, sing and a bunch of stuff, and he asked a bunch of us session people to do, he did a New Year's Eve gig at the Garden. So he asked us to be the choir because there, at midnight he wanted the choir, I think the song was Time, Love, and Tenderness, I think it was. So he wanted a whole choir to be out right at the stroke of midnight. So I get calls, a bunch of my friends. We're all hanging out, having a good time. He's doing his thing, we're in the dressing room, we're peeking out, checking out some of the show. And they told us, okay, right before midnight, about 10 minutes, we want you, with the robes on and everything, and we want you to go up. And what happened was they had a stage that was kind of an A shape, but not too steep, but an A-frame kind of look. And so they said, okay, and I was, we had a bunch of singers, and it turned out that they told me I was going to go out last. So I was like, okay, no problem. So we're all ready to go, and all of a sudden the guy went, wait a minute, no, he had it backwards, and it ended up that I had to go out first.
Oh.
So here it is. It's like getting towards midnight.
So here's the guy who likes anonymity.
Right, but I had my moment. At the Garden. The Garden is packed. Everybody's going crazy.
Again, the little arenas. So I had my moment at Madison Square Garden.
So everybody's excited. All of a sudden, I come out with this robe, and the place goes absolutely nuts. So like, thank you. And Michael turns around, he just starts laughing, because it's like I'm getting all this applause. They have no idea who I am.
They have no idea.
But for me,
they probably still don't know who you are.
But it was a thrill for me, getting this roar of applause at the Garden.
I'm going to interject. I once emceed a show at the Meadowlands Arena, and it was Ozzy Osbourne, and so there were a lot of very loud people in the house. Yeah. And as soon as I came out and said, "Hey, I named my name, and I'm with WDHA Radio," there was a guy right in the front giving me the finger. I said, "Welcome to rock and roll. I'm getting out of here. Here's Ozzy Osbourne." So that's what. Now listen, you come from roots that you wanted to make sure to mention, which of course we would, and that kind of paved the way for the music and for your passion for doing this kind of thing. So I'm just going to let you talk about it.
Well, I mean, my dad was his name is Victor Velazquez, and he's no longer with us. He's been gone for about almost 19 years. But my father was the lead singer for Charlie Palmieri, who was, a very famous Latin artist, yes.
Of course.
And of course his brother, even more famous, Eddie Palmieri. And so I grew up with them and grew up my dad being a salsa, singer. Grew up with all the great. I didn't know who they were, but the Tito Puentes, Ray Barretto.
So again, actually, I hadn't thought about this, but once again, you were in the room with great musicians.
Oh, yeah.
So you were able to function in that world. That's fascinating.
Right. But I
to
had,
me.
these are my father's, guys in his band or guys that he worked with and played with and hung out with, and I didn't know that these were going to be, Latin legends or whatever. But I would go to the gigs. I would go to the studio. They would have like rehearsals.
And you were like what, 10, 8, 12,
No, this
14?
was going from the time I was could see, from the time I was
Wow.
2 to the time I was a teenager.
So it was literally in your blood.
Yes, yeah, all that salsa music. Because my father would be blasting salsa, in the living room, and I'm in my room with my little pillow speaker, a little, radio, AM radio, listening to the Beatles, to Motown, to James Brown, Stevie Wonder, So, it was.
At what point did you say, I got to do this, or I can play? Or was it, again, an organic process where it was just around you? What could you do? You automatically had rhythm. You automatically understood the beat. You automatically understood what they were trying to get to, that kind of thing.
Well, it's silly because I didn't really pick up an instrument until I was in high school. My father and my mother asked me if I wanted to play piano when I was 5.
I was going to ask, did they pressure you at all? Or
Not at all. Not at all.
Like that.
Not at all. Because my father wasn't a school musician. He played, he played percussion. He played congas. He played some timbales, and he would play, shaker and maracas and stuff like that. But he wasn't a school musician. And my mom was, although they both had beautiful voices. My father was a great singer. But it wasn't until I got to high school, and for some reason in my...
What high school?
Cardinal Spellman High School. Cardinal Spellman High School. Not the most musical school, but for some reason, my year had a ton of musicians, and everybody played an instrument. And so my best buddy, my buddy Tom Teely, he was the guitar player of the school, and he happened to be my best friend in school, and he really encouraged me to play guitar. So I got my parents got me an acoustic guitar that freshman year for Christmas, and I just sat in my room and played.
And did you no lessons? You just picked it up?
No, all by ear.
And what did you play at that point?
Well, it was all mostly rock and roll stuff. The first song I learned how to play on a guitar was a Neil Young song, Heart of Gold. That was my first song.
Because it's G, D, G, A, if I remember correctly.
I want to is E minor, A, D, whatever.
Yeah, I get the idea.
4 chords.
Well, I don't want to get into this, but he is wearing a Sly and the Family Stone shirt, and we talked about that. Anyway, so just back to Cardinal Spellman High School.
Yes, let's go back there.
The Bronx, and it's one of the reasons that we do this podcast, the Bronx is, to me, the home of music. We invented like all of it. Was there a role of the borough, of the culture, of the life that you led here that contributed to your love of music?
Well, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. One is my father's, being in a salsa band. I also, from the time I was 5 to the time I was like a junior in high school, I lived on Arthur Avenue, and I lived around Arthur Avenue. So I grew up with Italians.
Wow.
And so I had that whole culture and food of Italians, plus the Latin, and I was blessed, So,
That makes me want to get up and hug you because that is the Bronx, man. That is it. And there are so many examples, large examples of people who grew up in the area where they were not the same ethnicity, and now of course it's much more diverse. And then look what it turns out. Out of all of the stuff that we've talked about and the stuff that you've done, number one, do you have a favorite instrument that you play? And number two, is there something favorite that you've done, or it's all just in this huge jigsaw puzzle?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. When I think about certain things, I'll say, oh wow, that was great. I mean, there's so many different aspects. Growing up with and watching my dad do his thing. I have a little funny thing. My father, Charlie. Well, a lot of the Latin orchestras used to play up, because you know, a lot of the Jewish families, and especially they loved Latin music. So if you went up to the Borscht Belt and you played all the clubs there, Grossingers
Really?
and Kutchers, and they love salsa music.
Here's the mix of cultures
So
again. Wow.
they played there every summer, and I went up there a couple of summers, and one time I was about 10 years old, and I loved comic books. I loved my Superman, Batman, Spider-Man comic books, and
They were a dime.
and yeah, or even less, And so here it is, Charlie's band is about to play. And, I'm looking for a place to sit. And Charlie said, no, sit right here. He put me right in front of his piano.
Stay with them.
Right in front of his piano.
Yeah.
And so here I am sitting, basically in the front of the stage. My father's singing over here. The rest of the band's here. Charlie's piano's here. And I'm sitting in front of the piano reading a comic book while they're killing it, playing all this salsa music. And everybody's dancing. And and then people are pointing to me. And I'm just reading my Batman, Superman comic book,
right.
So,
Gotham City.
But I would say recently working with Sesame Street was an incredible, just mind-blowing for me.
One thing I haven't mentioned that we haven't gotten into, you have 6 children.
Only 6.
Only 6. Does that experience enter into it? Were you able to write better and understand their needs based on that?
I think so.
Really?
They were certainly an inspiration, and they're always an inspiration for me.
The first question I had asked over there was, what's your favorite instrument? Do you have something you love to play?
Well, guitar. Guitar is in terms of a music instrument, but I raised
Classic
my family.
guitar, acoustic guitar, electric
guitar mostly. Acoustic guitar. Just to, if you're just sitting by yourself, playing, and but I raised my kids singing. I sang on commercials.
I shudder to think and I don't know how old they are, but eventually, if they, if they're going to take in Daddy's footsteps, or they're going to say, I'm not doing that.
Well, no, they kind of doing their own thing. I didn't really encourage them. My oldest daughter picked up the piano and guitar. My son picked up the guitar for a while, but they're not really. And my daughter Emma, but they're not really. They've kind of put it aside. I pick it up every once in a while. They'll sing. My daughter Emma loves to sing, but they're all big music fans. Especially my youngest ones, 24/7. They listen to music.
They listen to music, and what kind of music?
Oh,
I bet you they don't ask Daddy for his opinion.
No. And well, of course, when I drive them around, they dominate. They're like that.
Right.
And they Bluetooth. All their stuff, basically top 40 stuff. They love all the hits.
So I guess let's do one more thing, and then we're going to play some stuff.
Okay.
Is there an inside story that is your favorite inside story to tell? Or there are just way too many. See, Una's in the back laughing away over there. She knows them all. Maybe we should interview her.
I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
Right.
I don't know. Nothing.
Come
comes
back
to
next
mind.
week.
Yeah. Well, I can
right.
send something in.
Well, you've
But it's a lot
done
of
pretty
amazing-
well so far.
A lot of amazing, experiences, just doing sessions. There were times when, when I was at my most busy, where I was doing, maybe 4 or 5 sessions a day, and just,
Wow.
and and people would ask me like, "What did you sing today?" I'm like, "I forget," because you'd have to dispose what you just did, go run to another session, and I would do several, and I would forget what I did.
I have to say, it's wonderful that you said very clearly that you like the anonymity. So here's a guy, folks, just picture, here's a guy doing 4 or 5 sessions a day with some of the greatest musicians you could have. And I bet you there are ones not big names who are still great musicians.
Oh, yeah.
And you would get to go place to place. And at no time did you ever say, hey, I want to be that guy. I want to be Paul McCartney or something. That you just want to do it because you love the music. It's and the show.
I love being a part of it. Working with working with Sting is like they're Sting and we're singing stuff and there he is and everybody's bothering him, but I'm hanging out with his wife, and we're all just I'll be
really
stupid saying something stupid.
I think it's great.
I like your husband's band, the Cops. You know, I love them. You know. So,
Oh, is that the name, the Cops?
Yeah, the Cops.
So here we go. This, and you've mentioned this to me, and I think it's a wonderful piece. With LL Cool J and Elmo. Do you want to introduce it in any way, or we'll just let the thing roll and talk about it afterwards?
Well, it was one of the, for a while there, I would get assignments to write songs or do some underscoring for.
What would those assignments be? I'm so
it
curious
would be
about that.
I guess they would decide, okay, we want to do a song that whatever genre it might be or whatever, they would say, oh, we'll get Russ to, because they had a stable of composers. I wasn't like the only one. There was a stable.
You were the best one. Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that, but of course there's the original guys that wrote the themes, but they would just say, oh, okay, we need.
Now, would they say would they have you do the lyrics as well? Like, in other words, this is about adding numbers.
No. Most of the time it was writing the music, and the writers who wrote the screenplay, the scripts for the show would write the lyrics. So.
And did you see the lyrics? Almost like Elton John and Bernie Taupin thing, where they'd send you the lyrics and you write a rhythm to go with it.
Right. That's how it'd be. Yeah. They would send me that. They'll sometimes send me a storyboard. So that I can get an idea of what it's going to look like, right. And then and sometimes it's, because I'd say, could you put me in a room, what were you thinking here? Well, we were kind of thinking, and sometimes they would think of a genre, or sometimes they would think of maybe an artist or a particular song, and at least that's a springboard to kind of,
to get you to do, and you would create it on a keyboard.
Well, I had my setup, which was a computer, with a keyboard,
right,
and I would have my guitar with me. And so, depending on it, sometimes I would get.
All right, let's do it. Here we go. Thank you, Sesame Street, but also Russ Velazquez for raising my children.
Hi, Elmo's here with his good friend, Mr. LL Cool J.
Hey, what's up? We're about to go on an audition expedition. Wanna come?
An audition expedition? What's that?
That's when you add them up.
Ah!
Let's go on an audition expedition. You don't have to be a mathematician or wave a magic wand like a fancy magician. All you have to do is yeah. Come on. Look at those birds, they're singing a song. How many birds are singing along? Put the birds together, and here's what you do. Add up all the birds who are singing to you. Come on. Yeah.
1, 2 chickens and 1 penguin is 1, 2, 3 birds. Elmo added them up.
You got it. You're doing addition.
Oh, nice bird song, birds.
Here's some animals hip-hopping on the wall. How many hoppers are hopping in all? Put them all together, and here's what you do. Add up all the animals hopping over you.
Two rabbits plus 2 frogs make 1, 2, 3, 4 animals. Add 'em up.
Right again.
Hip-hop.
Add 'em up. Now, this is the end of our audition expedition. So next time you wind up in an adding position, remember to stick with our adding tradition. I said remember to stick with our adding tradition.
Wait. Elmo sees something else we could add.
What's that?
Friends. 1 Elmo monster and 1 Mr. LL Cool J makes 1, 2 friends.
You got that right, Elmo.
Yeah.
There you go. So now that particular track goes through changes, and that moment when they bring in the birds or whatever they do. you did they tell you we want a thing with changes, or you just said like any track you wrote, the bridge and the chorus? And,
actually, that was a very edited track because they had some technical issues, or whatever, so they had to cut down the time of the length of the song. So there's a whole section that was taken out, so we edited that. A lot of the, I don't know if they still do it now, but a lot of the filming of the Sesame Street episodes are done at Kaufman Studios in Astoria.
Right.
And they have a full-blown studio in the basement. So LL Kane, what was so great is, first of all, to see him come into Sesame Street.
I mean, that was nice, but seeing Elmo,
but he was like a little kid. He was like, "Oh my God, I'm on Sesame Street," and he could not.
That's very cool.
He was like a little kid,
wow,
and then
that's
he
cool.
and I sat on the stoop, and he's like, "Oh man, we're sitting on the stoop," He was like a little kid,
And so, were you there when the puppets were like doing their thing?
Well, wherever you see, whatever camera, I was standing right behind the camera guy. I was right there the whole time.
Wow.
And I recorded him, earlier in the basement.
And so they roll the track, and right. or all the audio is done, including the vocals.
Yeah, we recorded the audio earlier. They did a rough mix so that we could film it, and then we went back and filmed
wow.
it.
What do you think of when you hear that?
Oh, well, it brings a smile because it was such a wonderful experience. It was amazing.
Right.
I mean, anytime you're there, just to see them do their thing is incredible.
With the puppets and everything.
when you see a bunch of the Muppets, they're all. You have to understand that there's people,
underneath
that control
them.
it,
Yeah.
and so it's like this whole crowd of people. And you see 4 or 5 Muppets, and
wow.
they have it down to such a science where it's like, you could see hands with like spaghetti, and then you have the camera guys, and you have the light guys, and so there's this whole thing, and all you're seeing is maybe 3 or 4 Muppets talking,
incredible.
and maybe a couple of humans, but all the people that are surrounding it to film it and to actually take care of the Muppets, it's incredible.
That is incredible, and I'm a little older, so I didn't watch it as a kid, but my kids certainly grew up watching it, and all of our kids grew up watching it, and to see it in reality must be incredible. Also, to see LL Cool J's reaction, because he grew up with it, that is like, wow, I'm here.
He was like a little kid. And what's remarkable is I brought my kids to the set, and all the kids do the same thing. They don't even notice the puppeteers. As soon as they see Elmo and Cookie Monster, they are just totally fixated on them.
Wow. All right, so we're just going to pop right into the next one, which is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original title song,
this is not the
Nickelodeon Deutschland.
Well, this is not the original
right,
one. The original one is, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's correct.
This is the second one.
All right.
And so it's pretty bumpy.
We like this one much better.
Well,
I assure you. Dude, was your voice on there? Were you 1, 2, 3, 4? Or how did this work?
That's me, but that's all. All the instruments, all the music, and all the backgrounds is me. And then my friend Tom sang the lead, but all the background stuff, turtles counting up
and what did they give you? What did they give you so you could figure that out? Or did they just say, "Give me 60 seconds"?
Just give me a lyric. It's usually a theme song for. Cartoon. Most shows is about a minute, so they just said, they gave me some lyrics, and you kind of mess with the lyrics a little bit, and they just wanted something intense and something memorable, and
I love how you make it sound so simple. Yeah, they just give you the lyrics, and then you do something simple, and you've got this full orchestration that you do by yourself on the computer, on the piano.
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay, so I have a surprise.
What is it? Oh.
A gift. Now, apologies to Jenny Sweets, because I brought Kit Kats for everybody in the house, because I felt that if we're going to be listening to a Kit Kat ad...
Oh, yeah.
If we're going to be listening...
Now, here's the thing with Kit Kat, my buddy...
I can't break into the bag. That'll be the first thing.
Yeah.
That's all right. I'll use my teeth. My dentist will be thrilled.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to sing on the original Kit Kat. My friend Michael Levine had written it We sang on the demo. They bought it. We were doing the final, and they decided. They said, "Okay, let's. We got all these great singers singing it. Let's have the musicians sing it.
And that's what happened in this one.
And then what happened was they decided to go with the musicians for the original one. I sang a few afterwards, but the original one, I was on the demo, but I didn't get to sing the original one, which actually made a little bit more money.
Well, then you can have a Kit Kat as a gift.
Thank you
okay, here we go. We're ready.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Give me a break, give me a break. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. Give me a break, give me a break. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
That chocolate crispy taste is gonna make your day. And wherever you go, you hear the people say,
Give me a break, give me a break. Break me off a piece of that.
Break me off a piece of that.
Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
There you go.
There you go. Now I generally don't like to eat when I'm on the radio or when I'm on the podcast. But listen, I just wanted to say that afterwards there's also Jenny's Sweets here, and this is in no comparison to that.
Right.
But we're all compelled when it said "give me a break off a piece." The first thing I did was break off a piece.
Well, he did very well with that. I got to sing in a couple of them, so that's one of them.
Yeah. Well, I
And,
couldn't sing now till I finished this little piece of Kit Kat.
But that was-
But people had them, right? Everybody had them? All right. There's more to go. So then the last one we're going to play is with Paula Abdul.
Oh wow! Which one?
You're like surprised.
the
Diet Coke Old Hollywood, long version it says here.
Could I-
Yes,
yeah,
could
no,
you?
no,
Of
yeah.
course, it's your show. Let her roll.
I mean, that was the second. I think the first one was the first one Elton John. I think when they were doing where they were having like for instance, she's dancing with Fred Astaire or something like they superimposed.
That's was fascinating to me was the music. Did you create it knowing that Groucho Marx was going to be dancing?
No,
with
I did not do.
Paul
First of all,
Abdul?
it was a Diet Coke jingle that had been around for a while. I forget who wrote it, but the track I did was produced by my buddy Dave Wolfert. I was just one of the singers.
One of the singers on there.
Yeah, so
Give me a break.
and so all the backgrounds, and I don't, what was pretty funny is we did the backgrounds first. And the music was done here in New York, and then Dave went to L.A. to record Paula's vocal. And I don't mean to.
Go ahead. No.
disparage
We
her
want
at
to
all.
hear what you're
She's
about
a
to
sweetheart.
say.
She's a sweetheart and everything, but there was a certain line that technically we were singing with her, but because we did the vocals first, she had to sing with us, and she couldn't quite do it, so we had to come back and redo it.
Wow. All right. Well,
But
that's the inside.
I hear
that's
she's
the
a
inside
sweetheart.
dirt I was looking for. That's
Yeah.
good.
But it was.
No, and so the recording was done, and then she simply danced to it, and then they cut all the
she
people
did the
in
vocal.
there.
I think I mean, I'm sure what they did was they filmed it after they recorded it. So we did the track, sang it,
Right.
he produced it, brought it to L.A. She did the vocals. Then we had to come. Then they brought it back here, and we had to redo the backgrounds. And then I think they filmed it after that.
It's a number of years old, right?
Oh yeah, that's probably about 15 years ago, or something.
All right,
maybe longer.
To me, that's current events, but that's another story.
It may be longer. Maybe it's 20 years ago. I don't know. Yeah. It was a
All
while
right,
ago.
ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
here it is.
There's just one, and there's no mistaking it one. Just no faking it one.
Why don't you and me do some fancy stepping tonight?
Oh, with that cool style in it, ooh. With that smile, yeah, one. Just for the feeling,
Diet Coke,
just for the taste.
just for the fun.
You know the more we find it, just one with something behind it.
She's a beautiful dancer. Why, I used to call her Twinkle Toes.
For the taste, you know there's just
And there's just one, and there's no mistaking it one.
Can you do this one?
There's just one,
You're not so bad yourself.
just for the fun,
one calorie.
just for the taste.
Some for you,
Thanks.
some me.
Diet Coke.
There you go, ladies
Yes.
and gentlemen. There we go.
It was me and a couple of my buddies.
Russ Velazquez. You know what's interesting to me, because there are people who are going to listen to this, let's say on Apple and Spotify, and they won't see the video because that'll be on YouTube, and maybe they haven't seen it. But listening to it here in the house, just hearing the music, it's a nice piece.
Oh, no, Dave did an amazing job.
They did an amazing job. Yeah, they really did.
Yeah, I mean, it was great singing it with my buddies. As a matter of fact, one of the singers, my buddy Curtis, currently on tour with Bruce Springsteen.
Wow.
So.
And what's the most difficult part of doing this? Because the way you've communicated it to us is that, yeah, well, they gave it to me and I just wrote the track. Or, I sang along, with musicians. Or is it really just so enjoyable and so natural to you that it's just great?
Well, I'd like to, I guess, because when I never tried doing session work for years, because I always was thought that you had to be a crack sight reader and you had to know, music, written music, and be able to, and it was true back in the day, but when I was working, I have to give credit to my buddy Jimmy Ryan, who was he was Carly Simon's guitar player for many, many years, and worked with a bunch of people, Jim Croce and people like that, Cat Stevens. He was doing session work, and we were working on a project of mine. And he was like, man, you could be doing session work. I'm like, no, man, I got to be a sight reader. I don't read music, because I don't read music. It's all by ear. And he says, your ear's good enough. It's not like that anymore. Even if you have to read, you once you hear it, you'll know it. It's a jingle. He said it's not hard stuff. So he encouraged me, and also my buddy Michael Levine, who wrote the Kit Kat spot, said the same thing. They both were doing a lot of session work, and they said, you should be in there singing. And so I said, okay, so I put it.
I love the attitude. Yeah, okay, sure, why not? All right.
So I did, and it was great. I mean, there was a couple of times that that would be handed sheet music. We were doing these a cappella, things with no music, just voices, and I would be handed a sheet of music, and I'd be okay, and so I said, could you play it down?
Yeah, but play it and I'll get it.
And
it
was almost like following the dots.
So are you still doing 4 or 5 gigs?
Oh no, those days have gone pretty much.
And so what are you doing? What's going on?
Well, I am still doing, vocal sessions, but I mean, the business really changed at the end of the 90s, beginning of the 2000s. It really, session work, and then a lot of...
Because people can play their own stuff just like you can on a
once
computer.
The technology...
That's right, the technology changed.
Technology, you were able to do things you could never dream possible, but at the same time, it kind of almost ruined the business for us, because the unions became less stronger. A lot of buyouts and a lot of things were being done outside of the country.
People could sit in their room and make the track.
Yeah, I mean, I felt bad for a lot of orchestral players, because they were going to Prague and out to Europe to record, because they were able to record.
Right.
They were able to fly out half the agency, put them up in hotels, record orchestras for 2 or 3 days, and it would be like a tenth of the price of just recording an orchestra here in New York City. So they lost a lot of business that way. So it changed.
There's nothing you can do about it.
But I am doing sessions at home.
Like what kind of sessions? Name one.
Well, I'm doing
and whatever you want to say. It's fine.
I do song parodies, which the radio stations, if there's some kind of
Weird Al. Like Weird Al Yankovic?
Well, but not songs. Basically, little, minute of that. Let's say, for instance, there's a news story, or a person, a celebrity, or even their own DJs. They want to make fun of them. They will take a song and put different lyrics, and then
you put your name on it, or you?
No. This is totally, no. I don't want them to know it's me. No.
You are adorable, man. I got to tell you, man.
So I do that, and I do some live gigs, and some
Russ,
stuff like
it's just been an absolute joy to have you here.
Well,
Come on, everybody. And the frustrating part is we've only, we could go through all this stuff, and each track I'm sure is interesting.
Oh yeah.
I do want to thank my friend Laura Levine Pinedo for recommending
thank you, Laura.
Everybody knows
Thank
Laura.
you, Laura.
Laura recommended you, and just keep playing music. Keep being.
Yeah.
Is there anything I didn't ask you about that you want to say?
Well, there was just one little segment.
I missed something.
No, but because I toured for almost 10 years with a group called the Hitmen, which was 3 of the Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons guys, and that was a whole nother blast, of touring, and I got to see a lot of the country because I haven't traveled much in my lifetime, so this allowed me to really travel across the country, play all these wonderful venues, anything from 700 to 1,500 seat theaters, and playing with guys who played, they were Frankie Valli's guys, and so it was a lot of fun.
And I'm dying for you to say, yeah, but then I came home and the Bronx is the best.
Yeah, the Bronx is the best. See, I still live in the Bronx, so I'm there,
Well, listen, thank you so much, really, for joining us. Thank you for all your friends and family and people who are here. We thank George Williams Jr. for being our tech guy.
Thank you, George.
Elliot and Monica at The Artist. Listen, one thing I need to say about City Island and really the Bronx and all of us, we lost a dear, dear friend who was a musician. He also owned the ice cream store down the block. Skip Giacco passed suddenly just yesterday. Did you know Skip?
No, I didn't. But that's
sad news. He was just a great guy. That's all. And just yesterday, right? I was out here yesterday. Had a heart attack.
Oh my God!
But so we all want to remember him. If you do anything on City Island, if you come to events or whatever, Skip was the guy. I mean, he was just a great guy, and it's just, what can you say? We're all brokenhearted. And so anyway, so that's it. Thank you, Elliot and Monica. And Jenny Sweets, let's have some sweets. It's always sweet to be here in City Island. My man Russ.
Please, thank you for having us. It was a pleasure.
And
a lot of fun.
So now we will be here the first Sunday in October. The first Sunday in November is the marathon, and my daughter is running, so we will not do it. We'll do it the week after, and that's it. Thank you so much. Peace and love. Love the Bronx.
Thank you, man.
Sound you, head bar, baby. I'm boogie down like